Hello everyone. Today let's solve the problem longest regular bracket sequence. Right. So this was asked on Codeforces beta round 5. Right. So this is fine. You can just go through the question. It is very easier to understand. So let me summarize the question so that it will be easier for us to break down the problem, understand, and let's go with the approach. Then let's write the code. Right. So it will be easier for us to understand the problem and write the code, basically, in short. So I'll just summarize the question. Right. So what the question states here, we are given a string made of only this one, opening parenthesis and closing parenthesis, or opening bracket and closing bracket. Here, this one I'm speaking of. This is fine. So we are given a string that is made of opening parenthesis and closing parenthesis, or opening and closing brackets. We need to find the longest valid bracket substring. So longest valid bracket substring means this way. It can be either like this, it goes on like this, right? So it can be one, it can be two opening and closing brackets. This one, what do you call, uh, the count, and the way it is given here, it should be like that itself. So we need to find the longest valid bracket substring. Also we need to output how many such longest substrings exist. So after finding the longest valid bracket substring, we have to output how many such longest substring exist within the given string, right? So that is also important. So here let's come to the input part here. So just give me a second. Here you can clearly see this is nothing but, so we have the input this one, right? So they have given input this one. So here 6 is nothing but the longest valid bracket substring that we have found from input, this input. And 2, what is 2 here? Basically 2 is nothing but the number of longest substrings exist in the similar way is 2 here. The count is 2, basically. The count of longest substring, right? The count of valid bracket, longest valid bracket substring is 2. So we need to, along with finding the longest valid bracket substring, we need to we need to return its count as well. So just keep this in mind. So a regular bracket sequence has balanced opening and closing brackets. So a regular bracket sequence has both balancing opening and closing brackets, right? So if no valid sequence is found, if no valid sequence is found, then we have to return 0 1. We have to keep in mind. So if no valid this one sequence is found, then we have to return 0 1. Here you can clearly see this input I'm speaking of 0 1, right? I hope this part is completely clear. Let me, yeah. So I hope this part is completely clear. So this is it for the question, right? So this is it for the question. So here in this case, that's what this is, longest valid substring, and such uh, 2 is the count of such substrings that is present in this one, this input. So here we cannot will not be able to find the this one, longest valid substring. So yeah, in this case we have to return 0 1, right? So I hope the question part is completely clear. Let's quickly discuss the approach, right? So let's quickly discuss the approach along with the complexities, right? So either there are two approaches that you want to go, that you can go, so that you can solve with, basically the easy ones I'm speaking. There might be many ways to solve this problem. Either you can make use of the stacks along with the dp for the caching or the memoization part. So and this one, what do we call, uh, I'm speaking of two pass approach as well. You can just go with the two pass approach as well, right? So two pass approach, because it will help you in the reducing the space complexity from zero, big of n to big of 1. So that will be helpful, basically. If you are considering the space complexity would be quite obviously big of 1 if we go with the two pass approach. So if we make use of the stacks with dp, so the time complexity would be, the space complexity would be big of n as well in the worst case. So for this problem, let's go with the stack approach, because it's easier to solve with stacks and the dp. Basically for the memoization part will be, for the memoization or the caching part, will be making use of the dp array. And for this one, what do we call, for finding the longest, this one, what do we call, for finding the longest valid substring, we'll be going with the stacks, right? So let's discuss the approach followed by the complexities, and then finally let's write the code. So let's discuss the approach here. I have considered the same first example or the first input that they have given in the examples part, right? So here I have considered the same one. The output that we need to get here is 6 and 2, right? So first thing that we need to note down here is we will be going with the stacks and DP. So here we'll be going with the stacks and DP. This is nothing but the longest valid substring, and the substring count here is 2. So you'll get it once we are done with the approach, right? So here let's go with the step-by-step explanation here. First thing is we'll be making use of the stack. So we have already discussed this one. We'll be making use of the stack. The stack part is we have to match the opening and closing brackets as they have given in the question, right? So we have to match the opening bracket with the closing bracket, quite obviously. That is the reason we'll be making use of the stack basically, right? So and also for each closing parenthesis, this one closing parenthesis, we need to find a matching opening bracket. For each closing parenthesis, we need to find a matching opening parenthesis as well in the stack. So why? Because we need to form a valid pair and we have to calculate the length of that valid sequence as well. For the closing parenthesis, we need to find the opening parenthesis to form a valid pair and calculate the length of the valid sequence. And again, so as I've said, for the memoization or the caching part, we'll be making use of the DP. So we will use DP array to store the length of valid sequence that is ending at index 1. This rather than telling you when we write the code, you'll get to know this one perfectly, right? So we will be making use of the DP array to store the length of the valid sequence. We have to store the length of the valid sequence ending at index 1. We need to go with the first, we need to calculate the length, and also we have to find all the substrings which has the same length, basically which has the same length, that we need to do accordingly with the question that they have asked, right? So the last part here is we need to keep track of maximum length and how many times this maximum length occurs. So basically we have found a valid substring which is of the length maximum length 6. Then if another substring is having same this one maximum length, then we have to return the count as 2. Or if it is having 3, then we have to return 3 here. If we are having the maximum length same, this one same if we are having another substring of the same length 4 times, then we have to go with the 4 here in this case, right? So 4 here we have to go with 6 and 4, right, as output. So that is the reason we have to keep track of maximum length and how many times this maximum length occurs. So this is where DP plays a crucial role, right? So we have to store the length of valid sequence ending at the index 1. I mean, we will be storing the length of valid sequence ending at index 1. So I hope this part is completely clear. In this case, in the example, so here, this is the maximum length or the longest valid substring, first longest valid substring that we will be finding within the uh, for the input one. For this one I'm speaking of, so basically we have considered this example. So this one we have considered, so whatever I have marked now, this one which is of the length 6, basically by looking at it itself you can tell, right? So this is the longest valid substring in the array. So another valid substring that we found here is this one, including this one. So basically I'm speaking of uh, this what do you call this one, uh, substring, this substring. So I forgot the word substring at all. So I'll just come here. Yeah, this part we are speaking of another substring with a this one length 6 is this one, this part. This is also we can consider as the valid substring with length 6. So maximum length is 6 and the count is 2 here. Maximum length is 6 and the count is 2 here in this case, right? So here you can clearly see this bracket and this one, right? So we are speaking of this one, basically this one and this one. So this is valid with the length of 6. So total maximum length is 6 and the count of such substrings is 2 in the input that they have given for the first input. So the output that we need to return here is 6 2. So the output that we got here is 6 and 2. 6 is nothing but the length here, 2 is nothing but such substrings, right? Such substrings with the same the substring with the same this one length, right? So here the output that we got here is 6 and 2, which is equivalent to the output this one, which is equivalent to the output that they have given for the first this one first example or Yeah, first example in the question basically. So our approach works absolutely correct in this case. So as we are completely familiar with the approach, let's discuss the complexities quickly. So now, what? Uh, what's the time complexity? The time complexity would be quite obviously big of n. So why? Because uh, we will be going with the each character, or each character will be processed exactly once using the stack. Either will be making use of push or pop operation, right? So each character is will be processed once using the stack, right? Either by push or pop operation. And the space complexity would be big of n. Why the space complexity here would be big of n? uh, because we'll be making use of the dpr, as I have said, and also stack. In the worst case, all brackets can be this one, right? So in the worst case, all the brackets, yeah, all the brackets can be this one. So what do you call this one? Sorry. In the worst case, we have to store all the brackets, right? So space complexity would be quite obviously big of n. The time complexity and the space complexity for the code that we'll be writing would be big of n. So I hope the complexities part is completely clear as well. So as we are completely familiar with the complexities and the approach, it's better we start writing the code. Let's start writing the code. First, let's import the input, output, and util packages, right? So I'll just go with import java.input output star. Also, let's import the utility package. So this one will be java.util.star. So this is fine. Uh, let's go with a class here. Like class, this is small here. This is fine. Class, let me name this one main. You can name anything. So let me go with main or Bharadwaj. So this would be good. So this is fine. Let me type main here. This is fine. Let's make use of throws input output exception here. Mm, or else we'll get the error, right? So this will be throws input output exception. Let me make this one capital E here. This is fine. So within this class, first what we'll do, we'll be making use of the buffered reader for the fast input and the print writer for the fast output. That is the reason we have imported this one input output, right? So here, what I'll do, I'll just go with buffered input, sorry, buffered reader, right? So I got confused here. This one will be buffered reader. I'll make use of the variable br here, new buffered reader. So this one will be new input stream of, let me make use of system.in. This is fine. Yep. The next part here would be print writer for the fast output. So this will be print writer. So I'll just go with print writer output equals this one new print writer system. So this is for the output, right? So I just keep out here. I hope this part is clear. So after this, we have to read the input string of brackets basically. So I'll just go with the string s equals buffered reader br we have considered as this one variable name, right? So I'll just go with read line. So this is fine. So the next thing here is int n equals s dot length. So I hope this part is completely clear. So the next part, so we'll be making use of the stack as we have already discussed this one approach. As we have already discussed this one in the approach, we'll be going with the stack and dp array. And let's make use of the stack to store the index of opening brackets, right? So let's make use of the stack to store the index of opening brackets. So here this will be stack. So this will be integer. This is fine. So this has to be capital I here. This is fine. So the next thing here, let me make use of the variable name stack here. Stack equals new stack. So this one will be new stack. This is fine. So this part, so the next step here would be, we'll be going with the dp array because we have to store the length of the valid substring that is ending at the index I. So we have already discussed this one. So this we can articulate the same thing in the form of code in this way. So dp int new of int this one n. So this is fine. So dp of I, because we have to store the length of the valid substring ending at index I. So the next step is we have to track the maximum length and its count, or the number of substrings, number of such substrings. Basically, that's what the question states, right? Basically, we have to track the maximum length and we have to return it, and also the number of such substrings in the input, for the input that they have given, right? So that's what we have to do. That's what the question states actually. So let me go with maximum length and let me initialize this one to the 0, and let me go with count and let me initialize this one to the 0 as well. So this is fine. Next, we have to iterate each character using the, let's go with the two pointers idea, right? So let's iterate each character using the two pointers idea. So here let me do one thing. Instead of, just give me a second, let's go with the iteration part first. So let me give here int I equals 0, I less than n, I plus plus. So this is fine. So within the for loop, let me give here character char or ch I'll consider. So this one, I'll just make use of the caret I, so index. So this is fine. So first condition here, we are iterating each character, right? So we are iterating to each character. This is fine. If the character is opening bracket, right? So if the character is the opening bracket, then we have to push that one to the stack, right? So then we have to push that one to the stack. So first, let's write the simple if condition. If character equals opening bracket or the opening parenthesis here, this then we have to push the particular index of that character, but we have to push the index of that particular character into the stack. So I'll just go with stack dot push of, not ch here, in this case I, right? We are pushing the index of that character opening this one parenthesis, right? Index of the opening parenthesis or the character into the stack. So I hope this is fine. So else, what we will do here, if stack is empty, I mean if stack is not empty, if we have found the match, means if we have found the match for that particular opening parenthesis, then we have to pop the matching this one, what do we call, opening bracket index, as we have as we are considering the index, right? So if we have found the match for the particular this one, uh, opening bracket, nothing but the closing bracket, then we have to pop the matching opening bracket index, right? So then I can articulate in this way in the form of code. So I can just go with if when stack is not empty dot, I can just make use of the property is empty here, operation, sorry, is empty here, that the stack provides basically. So within this if condition, I can just give here int open index equals, this will be stack dot pop. So this is fine. So the next step here is we have to calculate the length of the current valid substring. So I can just give in this way, int length equals I minus open index plus 1, open index. So this will be plus 1. This is fair. The next step here would be we have to add the length of valid substring before this one if exists. Then when I say we have to add the length of valid substring, uh, means we have to count the this one valid substrings as well. When we have found the valid substring, we have to count if any other valid substring with the same length is found or not, right? So let's articulate the same thing in the form of code. So here open index plus 1 I have given, this is fine. I hyphen open index plus 1, this is fine. So after this, we have to add the length of the valid substring before this one if exists. So how can I write this one in the form of code? Let's do one thing. Let's go with the if condition here. This will be open index. If it is greater than 0, then length equals length plus as we have considered dp here array. So I can just give here open index minus 1 or hyphen 1. So this is fine. So the next part here would be storing the final length. So we have to store the final length of the valid substring somewhere. So and the array we are making use of is dp array, nothing but we are storing the final length at iterated value of the dp. So here I can just articulate in the form of code in this way, dp of I equals length. So I hope this part is clear. The next step is we have to update the maximum length and count. So this is important, we have to update the maximum length and count, right? So suppose we have found 6 initially, suppose the maximum length we have found 8, right? So for 6 and 8, 8 we will consider out of we have to go with the maximum length. If we have found the maximum length, this one valid substring, this one maximum length 6 and 8, we'll go with the 8. So then we will check for how many substrings we have to go with the count as well, right? How many such substring exists in the input as well for the 8 with the length 8 itself, right? So that one we have to articulate in the form of code, means we have to update max length and count. So I'll just go with if length greater than max length here in this case. So let me open the flower bracket here, max length. So this one equals length. So this one we have to reset. So count will be equal to 1. I'm assigning count to 1. So this is fine. Else, so if length equals max length. So here length equals max length means in our case, in the first example, that for the first example that we considered, right? So first we got the valid longest valid substring of length 6, and again we got another substring which was of the length 6, right? So now if length equals same, I mean max length, right? So we have to increment the count and we have to return it next to the longest valid substring length, right? So here in this case it would be count plus plus, we are just incrementing the count. So this is it for the code, right? So this is it for the part. So we missed one more part, I think there is one more part. So what we need to do, I got confused here, man. So yeah, where was I? So yeah, this is fine. So if no valid sequence is found, then we have to, this is one of the important edge cases. They have mentioned in the they have mentioned in the question strictly that if no valid sequence is found, so if we are not able to find any valid sequence, then in that case we have to output 0 1 as per the um, this one problem statement that they have given, right? So for that, let's write this one quickly. So if max length equals 0, then this will be out dot println. So we have so damn bro, so just give me a second here. This will be println, what we need to print basically 0 1 if no valid sequence. If we have not found if we didn't find any valid sequence, then we have to print 0 1, right? So this is fine. Else if we have found the valid sequence, and also if we have found the substring of the same length as the this one valid longest valid sub this one string, then we have to print that one, right? For printing I'll just go with out dot println. So I'll just go with the sorry, this would be println. This is fine. So within this one, what I'll do, I'll just go with maximum length plus. So we'll leave space and let's concatenate the count as well. So let's append the count or concatenate the count here. This is fine. Let's concatenate the count. This is fine. So the next step here is we have to flush and close. So this is input output, right? So this is part of input output. So I'll just go with flush, and the final step is here out dot close. So I hope this part is completely clear. This is fine. This is it for the code. I hope this works, man. Let's see. So just give me a second here. Mm, Let me copy the input. Let me paste it over here. Let's run this one. We have the error here, line number 6 and 27. 27, 29, 45. Let's check what is wrong first. So here in the line number 6, we have new buffer data of new input stream. So what's wrong here? Let me come here. Line number 6, where is this one? Buffered reader, this is fine. BR we have considered, this is also fine. New buffered reader, okay, this is fine. New, yeah. Oh, this has to be input stream reader, not input stream. So this is fine. Let me run this one again. So we have error in the line number 27, cannot find symbol, open index. So what we have considered, what we have initialized. Line number 27, let me come to line number 27 here. Open index. Oh yeah, this one has to be capital I. So I have given small I here. Mm, So this is fine. Now, yeah, now we have one more error. Cannot find the symbol out dot intln. So this has to be println, right? So where line number 45. So yeah, this has to be println, not intln. So if no valid substring is found, then we have to return 0, 1. So this is fine. This has to work now. Let's see. So yeah, now we are getting the output 6, 2, right? So this is the correct output, right? So let's check with the second input as well. We have to get the output 0, 1. There is no valid substring found for the second input basically. So we have to get the output 0, 1. Let's check. So yeah, we are getting the output 0, 1. So this works absolutely correct, right? Let me do one thing. Let me copy this one. Let me paste it over here. Before submitting, let me copy paste the signature template. So let me paste it over here. So this is fine. So I hope this works. Let me hit the submit button. Let's see. So you can clearly see here, this will take some time. Let's wait for some time. So yeah, you can clearly see here, this got accepted. Means the code works absolutely correct in this case, right? So whatever the code that we have written works absolutely correct. So I hope the solution part is completely clear along with the approach and complexities, right? For now, this is it. Thanks for watching, guys.